COVID had a huge impact on marketers, brands, and individuals as well. The customers changed a good deal during COVID, and they were changing before that. How do you feel your customers are changing, and how are you as a brand so focused on customer experience adapting to that change?
I'm asked often about the impact of EVs, right? Electric cars, and the impact on our business. And the reality is we embrace it, right? I mean, electric cars are here to stay. Autonomous cars will come. But our mission is to save driving and car culture for future generations. So that's why we do things like, we have a Hagerty Drivers Academy that teaches young people how to drive manual transmissions. We have a youth judging program that is teaching younger youth how to appreciate cars, how to judge them, how to understand them. When you're talking about opening the hood of a classic car to a 20-something-year-old, and they don't even know what a carburetor is. They don't know what a clutch is. They've just not grown up with that. So, continuing to preserve that culture, we see as just pivotal to our mission.
Yeah.
We recently launched the Hagerty Drivers Foundation. It's about a $20 million nonprofit. It's investing in a lot of different things that are helping preserve that culture. And one of the things we're going to do is Cars at the Capitol. So these are classic cars that are very important, either in their own right or culturally, and they're placed in these glass boxes up and down the National Mall in Washington, D.C. And just by putting that out there and funding activities like that, we are educating people about the cultural, iconic, and historic importance of driving and of cars as a passionate thing, not as just transportation from A to B, because I think that's where electric and autonomous cars will start to be. But the pleasure of driving cars and the enjoyment of driving that Lincoln Continental with the top down and right in the back, there's nothing that beats that.
As we think about it, customers changing, I'd say we think about the same way that most people are seeing, hearing, and thinking about it, right? People are time strapped, which means convenience is even more of a priority and an expectation. People's time at home and with their families has become even more precious, throughout this time. People have realized maybe how nice it is to have some of that time, to themselves and with their families. People are also more conscious of all the ways they can get the stuff that they need, right? I mean, that's been our business for 60 plus years, is we're right around the corner where you can get that thing. Now there are other ways, right? And I think people have become a lot more discerning of the tools and the technologies and the ways that restaurants and retailers can get stuff to them. And so all of those we've had to sort of take into account, for ourselves, to make sure that we're continuing to adapt, our offering and how people access Casey's for the things that they need.
Right.
And things that's looked like over the past year, again, like a lot of other retailers, we were fast track curbside and, enable curbside pickup through the mobile app, or to extend, again, the ways that people could pay for things or earn points, again, across those channels, just thinking about constantly talking to the guests, what their needs, desires, wants were, and being able to quickly react to that stuff to adapt so that we can continue to serve them, no matter the situation.
I think just, building on what Mike shared, the convenient factor is kind of table stakes, right? Because there is new consumer behavior and new access points for them to find convenience. And so, being relevant, which I would say, the insights and what we're doing this summer is a good way of how we're even elevating the brand and being even more relevant to our guests, having some fun, and adding in some experiential elements, help, differentiate.
It was, I think, a life-changing moment for all of us, for globally. We did see dramatic changes as brick and mortar stores closed. E-commerce became a haven for people to shop as people were isolated to their homes. Their home being a comfortable, cozy, safe place became even more valuable. We also saw the challenges with social distancing across the logistics, supply chain, manufacturing. that there's still remnants of that. We're seeing big challenges getting things, across the ports and across the seas, the cost of goods. So it's still very relevant. The retail world is adapting to it, so the customers might not feel the pain as much, but we are still very aware of the impact of COVID on the entire supply chain and our customer base. What we've seen at a more personal level is the customers are becoming more and more comfortable shopping online. It is becoming the new norm. I can remember, for example, flying back through JFK before COVID really hit the States and having a mask in my backpack and being too self-conscious to put it on because it seemed abnormal. But now I would put a mask on anywhere. I sometimes drive around with masks because I'm just too lazy to take it off. This level of adapting to a new norm is something that I think we'll see with e-commerce. As brick and mortar stores open across the country, many people have now learned the convenience of shopping online and expecting that daily UPS delivery to be at their front doorstep. Many people are still working remote and potentially working remote for a longer time, so those deliveries are more convenient to them and not having to drive to the store. So I think that's what we're looking at looking forward, is this adaptation becoming the adoption, where it is what people prefer to shop. And Overstock's can keep building with that mindset at top of mind, that shopping online is really something that the customers should delight in and it should be a superior experience.
Customers are always changing. That's the only constant is change in our industry. What's different and what's more difficult to predict coming out of COVID is what the future holds. We do know that there's been a seismic shift in the amount of e-commerce, how much there's a digital and a mobile focus, how time-starved people are, how they've reprioritized their lives, how they've changed and adapted to working from home or school from home. And some of those are going to return to normal and some aren't. And that impacts how people think about everything from what day do they shop, what time do they shop, how often they shop, and how do they think about dinner, which is of course a really important concept for us.
We always kind of focus on let's meet the customers where they want to be. So at the beginning, in the middle of 2020, when everything shifted, hey, let's launch curbside. This is something that, it was difficult because it was so quickly put together. But now that we have a year of it under our belts, like we've become to more of that fine-oiled machine. So people that have now found a new love of a curbside pickup, they can do that. Another thing that we've seen is really the adaptation of technology, especially for some of our older guests that may have not been comfortable with using an app or online ordering. And so focusing on really teaching them and giving them the tools to how to do it, how to understand how to do it, and then kind of those how-to videos. Not a lot of people, if you're not in the digital marketing space, you're probably not downloading every single food app. I do because that's what I do, but also understanding not everybody might be comfortable with how to enter in their payment information or how to redeem a reward. So really focusing on just that extra bit of FAQs kind of thing for our customers is important.